When you hear our show tune from the Great White Way, does a shiver run through ya? Well, we're giving them to ya. Sing hallelujah and shout hooray. Come on along and listen to Broadway to Main Street. USA.
New York, who doesn't love New York? And who wouldn't love New York in the last few days here? This is Larry Maslon, your host for Broadway to Main Street here on WPPB, Peconic Public Broadcasting 88.3 FM. In today's program, we are going to celebrate, well, the greatest city in the world. I think we can say that without fear of contradiction. The Broadway musical has always celebrated New York City, in many ways because it's the magnet for young people, songwriting talent, acting talent, singing talent, directing talent, and of course Broadway sits right in the middle of Manhattan. You heard a little mashup there of Madonna and Leonard Bernstein and Comden and Green, courtesy of the cast of Glee, one of the more recent celebrations of New York we have in music, and it's nice to know that even the young cast of Glee, Leah Michele and co., still recognize the charms and the indomitability of New York City. I've always resisted actually doing a New York City show. It seemed a little sort of middle of the shelf, but I think this is a perfect time to do that. And those of you who are out on the east end of Long Island or Connecticut or New Jersey who also suffered through some pretty tough times in the last week or so because of the hurricane and the nor'easter, I hope you'll look at this show not so much as chauvinism about New York City, but as a symbol for a great community of people and their ability to endure and carry on. Okay, let's go a little back in time then. New York's always been the subject of songs back in the 19th century, the sidewalks of New York, the Bowery. Here are two songs both called Little Old New York, although they couldn't be more different. The first is written by Victor Herbert and Reginald DeKoven. Yes, Herbert and DeKoven, that team, back in 1923, called Little Old New York. It's sung by Sarah Jean Ford. And then we're going to go straight into the opening number from one of my favorite musicals, the 1961 show Tenderloin, written by Sheldon Harnick and Jerry Bach, which gives you, as the song says, the other side of the street. So, two versions of Little Old New York.
From 14th to 42nd Street, from 4th Avenue to the Hudson, stands the largest area of undiluted vice and corruption in the world today. People of New York City, we must close up the Tenderloin.
Why can't this damn do-gooder keep his hands off little old new?
Little old New York is plenty good enough for me.
Good enough for me,
Good enough for me. Little old New York is plenty good enough for me.
Keep your hands off little old New York.
don't want no Bible spouting,
Gospel shout,
preaching nosing around, drying everything up, closing everything down. Don't want no roly-poly, holy-poly, purifying the town. Not my little old New York. Right now, she's wide open. He is hoping she'll always be this way. Right now, she's wide open. Anyone doesn't like it here, he don't have to stay.
little old New York is plenty good enough for me. Good enough for me. Good enough for me. Little old New York is plenty good enough for me.
Lots of pork.
In little old New York.
We got a golden goose here.
I'll run and loose here.
We don't need to compete. Let the minister work. The other side of the street. That way we're all in clover with enough left over to tip the cop on the beat. That's my little old New York. This town has 4 million, and 4 million are heading right this way. This town has 4 million. There are
N.Y.C., we'll hear that a little later, but that was the cast of Tenderloin, those sultry ladies, those scarlet ladies on the other side of the street. Hi, I'm Larry Maslon, and thank you for joining us for our tribute, our celebration to the great city of New York, the indomitable city of New York. As I said, a lot of songwriters came to New York because obviously Broadway and Tin Pan Alley were the epicenter of that industry in the early part of the 20th century. And who would you say is one of the great New York City lyricists? Well, you might say Larry Hart or Ira Gershwin. I would venture to say Dorothy Fields. Dorothy Fields, who was the daughter of Joe Fields, a great performer, wrote songs about New York as early as the mid-20s and continued up to the mid-70s. So we're going to do a 3-part tribute to Dorothy Fields. She wrote On the Sunny Side of the Street with Jimmy Van Heusen in the late 20s, but here's a song she wrote. We'll start off called Carousel in the Park from a lovely show called Up in Central Park, music by Sigmund Romberg, 1945. Then we'll go to a song cut from Sweet Charity in 1966, music by Cy Coleman, and then we'll finish up with a Coleman Fields ditty to the seamy side of New York City in 1973 from Seesaw, called My City. So, 3 Dorothy Fields songs celebrating the city she loves. Let's go up to Central Park.
Nearby on a green bit of ground, nearby with New York all around, nearby comes the thin piping sound of a little carousel. City pigeons and the sheep on the mall, sparrows in the midst of a brawl, line up like young men at a ball when the old man strikes the bell. The stately old trees waltz around in the breeze, in the small carousel in the park. The children and nurses quite empty their purses to write to the music and shout all the verses. It's simply enchanting to see Grandma panting sedately atop a white horse. The children and Grandma go home when it's dark, and then every lover is free to discover the small carousel in the park. The stately old trees waltz around in the breeze near the small carousel in the park. The children and nurses quite empty their purses to ride to the music and shout all the verses. It's simply enchanting to see Grandma panting sedately atop a white horse. The children and Grandma go home when it's dark, and then every lover is free to discover the small carousel in the park.
Today I feel New York is really my personal property. Right down Broadway City Hall. Every supermarket, every 5 and 10, the Lincoln Center and the great UN, it's all my personal property. The zoo in Central Park is merely my private menagerie. I've carved my name on every tree. From the Yonkers Raceway down to Bowling Green, I own everything around it, all the in-between. It's all my personal property. The planetarium is mine alone. The old aquarium I also own. And since today I feel New York is really my personal property, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Since I like you very much, so very, very much, I'm gonna split it with you. Today I feel New York is really my personal property, right down Broadway to City Hall. Every supermarket, every 5 and 10, the Lincoln Center and the great UN, it's all my personal property. The zoo in Central Park is merely my private menagerie. I've carved my name on every tree. From the Yonkers Raceway down to Bowling Green, I own everything around it, all the in-between. It's all my personal property. The planetarium is mine alone. The old aquarium I also own. And since today I feel New York is really my personal property, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Since I like you very much, so very, very much, I'm gonna split it with you. Since I like you very much, so very, very much, I'm gonna split it with you.
The city, my city, is like a beautiful woman. Beautiful, that's good. Sometimes impossible, that's bad. She ties me up, she won't let me go east, she won't let me go west. I don't dare to cross her. Sometimes I'd like to toss her into the river. But if you love her, you love her. And I love my city. I love New York. Just you name it, we'll dig it up for you. Hookers, hustlers, fresh from 8th Avenue. The bookstore
Yes, New York. That was the cast of Seesaw. Before that, we heard Bobby Short sing a song from Sweet Charity, and before that, the lovely Eileen Farrell from Up in Central Park. Hello, I'm Larry Maslon, your host for Broadway to Main Street, here on WPPB 88.3 FM, and we are celebrating that great city that withstood so much harm and force of nature and still carries on. We have a wonderful website here at WPPB, as well as a Facebook page, and if you have some thoughts about our material and what we're playing on this show, please take a moment and let us know how you feel about it. I know Ellen out there has been a very fervent correspondent. We thank her for that. Okay, we're going to move on. Let's hear a little bit of Mel Torme singing the quintessential New York song from the quintessential New York show.
My time of day is the dark time, a couple of deals before dawn, when the street belongs to the cop and the janitor with a mop, and the grocery clerks are all gone, when the smell of the rain-washed pavement comes up clean and fresh and cold, and the street lamp light fills the gutter with gold. That's my time of day, my time of day, and you're the only girl I've ever wanted to share it with me, with me.
Well, you are the only guys and dolls I want to share that song with. I don't know why Torme sings girl instead of doll. Sort of ruins a beautiful song for me, but hey, I'm a purist. All right, we're celebrating New York City. Let's take a tour now that we've woken up at the crack of dawn with Sky Masterson. Let's do a 4-part tour of New York City with some of our best songwriters going to various neighborhoods. We'll go up to Harlem first with Ethel Waters and a wonderful Irving Berlin song from As Thousands Cheer. Then we'll go westward with the cast of Jimmy. Not a very good musical, 1969, about Jimmy Walker, but I think a terrific little song emerged, and we'll hear Frank Gorshin sing about Riverside Drive. Then we will go to the main stem and hear Fred Astaire and George Murphy, yes, that George Murphy, sing about Broadway, and then we'll wind our way down with Leonard Bernstein and Comden and Green to those interesting people on Christopher Street. But first, let's go up to Harlem, and how do you get to Harlem? Of course, you take the A train, or you take Broadway to Main Street. Here's Ethel Waters.
Emeralds in my bracelet, diamonds in my rings, a Riviera chateau and a lot of other things, and I'm blue, so blue am I. Lots of ready money in 7 different banks. I counted up this morning, it was about 1 million francs, and I'm blue, so blue, and I know why. I've got Harlem on my mind, and I'm longing to be low down, and my parlez-vous will not ring true with Harlem on my mind. I've been dined and I've been wined, but I'm heading for a showdown, 'cause I can't go on from night to dawn with Harlem on my mind. I go to supper with a French marquis, each evening after the show. My lips begin to whisper, mon chéri, but my heart keeps singing, Heidi-ho. I've become too damned refined, and at night I hate to go down to that highfalutin flat that Lady Mendel designed, with Harlem on my mind. I've got Harlem on my mind, and I'm longing to be low down, and my parlez-vous will not ring true with Harlem on my mind. I've been dined and I've been wined, but show as you bone, I'm heading for a showdown, 'cause I can't go on from night to dawn with Harlem on my mind. And when I'm bathing in my marble tub each evening after the show, I get to thinking about that cotton club, and my heart starts chirping, Hardy-ho, send me. I've been too damned refined, and at night I hate to go down to that flat with 50 million Frenchmen tagging behind, with Harlem on my mind.
Fifth Avenue, Park Avenue, Washington Square.
I've seen them in bloom, I've smelled their perfume, but I'd rather plant my feet. Never know who you're gonna meet on Riverside Drive.
On Riverside, on Riverside, on Riverside.
Turn left on Park, then cross the park to Central Park West.
Go west, my young friend, just west of West End.
Don't stop till you plant your feet.
Pull up a bench and have a seat on Riverside Drive. You make your own rules, you do as you please, and when it gets dark, it's 10 to 1 you won't play Parcheesi. Those boulevards on postal cards could never compare. The Champs-Élysées was never as gay as 72nd Street. Going to 72nd Street and Riverside Drive. But I'd rather plant my feet. Never know who you're gonna meet on Riverside Drive. Don't stop till you plant your feet.
Pull up a bench and have a seat
on Riverside Drive.
You make your own rules
on Riverside Drive.
You do as you please
on Riverside Drive.
And when it gets dark,
tomorrow as you think of me today. The Champs-Élysées was never as gay as 72nd Street. Going to 72nd Street
and Riverside.
Pull up a bench and have a seat.
On Riverside.
You never know who you're gonna meet.
On Riverside. On Riverside. On Riverside. On Riverside. On Riverside. On Riverside.
On Riverside Drive.
Due to landscape gardeners gifted, Father Knickerbocker's face is being lifted so much that you hardly know it as such. All the streets are being dressed up, so before they ruin Broadway, I suggest up you go to the city fathers and say, whoa, glorify 6th Avenue and put bathrooms in the zoo, but please don't monkey with Broadway. Put big floodlights in the park and put Harlem in the dark, but please don't monkey with Broadway. Though it's tawdry and plain, it's a lovely old lane full of landmarks galore and memories gay. So move Grant's Tomb to Union Square and put Brooklyn anywhere, but please, please, I beg on my knees, don't monkey with old Broadway. Plant trees in the Polo Grounds and put Yorkville out of bounds, but please, don't monkey with Broadway. Close the Village honky-tonks, suppress cheering in the Bronx, but please, don't monkey with Broadway. Think what names used to dance on this road of romance. Think what stars used to stroll along it all day. Make City Hall a skating rink and push Wall Street in the drink. But please, please, I beg on my knees, don't monkey with old Broadway.
On your left, Washington Square, right in the heart of Greenwich Village.
My, what trees smell that air, painters and pigeons in Washington Square.
On your right, Waverly Place, bit of Paris in Greenwich Village.
My, what charm, my, what grace, poets and peasants on Waverly Place.
Ever since 1870, Greenwich Village has been the bohemian cradle of painters, writers, actors, etc., who've gone on to fame and fortune. Today, in 1935, who knows what future greats live in these twisting alleys? Come along! Here you see Christopher Street, typical spot in Greenwich Village.
Ain't it quaint, ain't it sweet, interesting people on Christopher Street.
Such interesting people on Christopher Street.
Such interesting people live on Christopher Street. Look, look, poets, dancers, actors, writers. Here we live, here we love. This is the place for self-expression. Life is sad, life is free. Greenwich, 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 Greenwich. Christopher Street.
Here we live, here we love. This is the place for self-expression. Life is mad, life is sweet. Interesting people living on Christopher Street.
Christopher Street, Greenwich Village, the place for self-expression. Well, there's a lot of self-expression going on today's show here on Broadway to Main Street. That, of course, was the original cast album of Wonderful Town. And today we're celebrating that great, indomitable city, New York, which has come through so much. It's autumn in New York, and, of course, that's the song cue of all time. Autumn in New York is a beautiful and a rather strange song. It was written for a 1934 musical called Thumbs Up by a man named Vladimir Dukelsky. Who's Vladimir Dukelsky? Some of you know. He changed his name after he emigrated from Russia to Vernon Duke. Here's a song for which he wrote the words and music. It's, to me, platinum rendition is by the wonderful Joe Stafford. And I think we can tap a little bit into the melancholy of that song as well. So a very beautiful, special song rendered by one of my favorite singers.
Autumn in New York, why does it seem so inviting? Autumn in New York, it spells the thrill of first nighting. Glittering crowds and shimmering clouds in canyons of steel, they're making me feel I'm home. It's autumn in New York that brings the promise of new love. Autumn in New York empty hands may sigh for exotic lands. It's autumn in New York. It's good to live it again. Dreamers with empty hands may sigh for exotic lands. It's autumn in New York. It's good to live it again. Autumn in New York.
A wonderful melancholy song about a great city. Let's turn to an absolutely unexpurgatedly exuberant song about N.Y.C. I said we would hear from N.Y.C. earlier in the program. This is, of course, from the cast of the show Annie. Annie, which was just revived and opened last night in New York City. We're going to go not to the original cast album, because I'm a rather perverse person, but to the television soundtrack, which is, I think, has some extraordinary performances on it. So we're actually going to hear Victor Garber as Daddy Warbucks, Audra McDonald as Grace, and don't you always want to play Audra McDonald when you get the chance? And in the second part of the song, for all you show tune fans out there, you will hear a surprise performer. So let's see if you can guess who it is, but let's go to Strauss and Charnin's wonderful tribute to the world's greatest city.
N.Y.C. What is it about you? You're big, you're loud, you're tough.
Will you be needing the car?
No, I think she's been cooped up long enough.
N.Y.C. I go years without you, then I can't get enough. Enough of cab drivers answering back in language far from pure. Enough of frankfurters answering back the brother you know you're.
In N.Y.C., too busy, too crazy,
too hot, too cold, too late. I'm sold again on N.Y.C.
the shadows at sundown, the roofs that scrape the sky.
N.Y.C. the rich and the rundown, the big parade goes by. What other town has the Empire State and a mayor 5'2"? No other town in the whole 48 can half compare to you. N.Y.C.
You make them all postcards.
You crowd, you cramp, you're still the champ. Amen for N.Y.C. The shimmer of Times Square, the pulse,
the beat,
the drive, the city's bright as a penny arcade. It blinks tilts, it rains.
To think that I've lived here all of my life and never seen these things. N.Y.C. just got here this morning. $3, 2 bags, 1 me. N.Y.C. I give you fair warning. Up there in lights I'll be. Go ask the Gershwins or Kaufman and Hart, the place they love the best. Though California pays big for their art, their fan mail comes addressed to N.Y.C. Tomorrow a penthouse that's way up high. Tonight, the why not? It's
NYC, your standing room only. You crowd, you cram, you're still the champ. Amen.
Well, did you guess who the girl was who gets off the bus to become a starlet in NYC? Show of hands, anybody? Yes, that was Andrea McArdle, the original Annie, who grew up and reappeared to make a cameo in the television version. I have to say I love any song that has Kaufman and Hart as part of a lyric. Well, let's go to the most famous girl who got off a bus into New York City, and that's courtesy, of course, of Stephen Sondheim's company. Here's Pam Myers to sing of the other 100 people who get off of the train.
Another 100 people just got off of the train and came up through the ground, while another 100 people just got off of the bus and are looking around at another 100 people who got off of the plane and are looking at us who got off of the train and the plane and the bus maybe yesterday. It's a city of strangers. Some come to work, some to play. A city of strangers. Some come to stare, some to stay. And every day, the ones who stay can find each other in the crowded streets and the guarded parks, by the rusty fountains and the dusty trees with the battered barks. And they walk together past the postered walls with the crude remarks. And they meet at parties through the friends of friends who they never know. Will you pick me up or do I meet you there? Shall we let it go? Did you get my message? Cause I looked in vain. Can we see each other Tuesday if it doesn't rain? I'll call you in the morning or my service I'll explain. And another 100 people just got off of the train. It's a city of strangers. Some come to work, some to play. A city of strangers. Some come to stare, some to stay. And every day, some go away. Or they find each other in the crowded streets and the guarded parks, by the rusty fountains and the dusty trees with the battered barks. And they walk together past the poster walls with the crude remarks. and another 100 people just got off of the train, and another 100 people just got off of the train, and another 100 people just got off of the train. Another 100 people just got off of the train.
We're in the home stretch of today's show, honoring and celebrating New York City. For my money, there's really only one song you could possibly end this show with. It may not be the song you think I'm going to end it with. It's an odd song. It's an extraordinary song. It's by Cole Porter. He wrote it for a 1930 show called, of all things, The New Yorkers. It doesn't even scan. It's not like any song ever written. I was lucky enough to hear it performed a few weeks after 9/11 at City Center, that hosts the Encore shows, where it was performed by Donna Murphy and a full orchestra conducted by the estimable Rob Fisher. And it so summed up the spirit and the enthusiasm and the dedication that New Yorkers have, not only for each other, but for their culture and for the idea of New York City carrying on. And that orchestration was the one done by Mort Lindsay for the one and only Judy Garland. So here in this insanely titanic performance is Judy Garland telling us how much she happens to like New York. And frankly, I concur.
Judy, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
New York's brighter when you are near.
Every time I go away off the beaten track, I live only for the day when I know I'm back. I happen to like New York. I happen to like this town. I like the city air. I like to drink of it. The more I know New York, the more I think of it. I like the sight and the sound and even the stink of it. I happen to like New York. I like to go to Battery Park and watch those liners booming in. I often ask myself, why should it be that they should come so far from across the sea? I suppose it's because they all agree with me. They happen to like New York. Last Sunday afternoon, I took a trip to Hackensack, but after I gave Hackensack the once over, I took the next train back. I happen to like New York. I happen to love this burg. And when I have to give the world my last farewell, and the undertaker starts to ring my funeral bell, I don't want to go to heaven, don't want to go to hell. I happen to like New York. I happen to like New
Well, where is the time all gone to? This is Larry Maslon here at Broadway to Main Street. Let's catch up next Sunday at 3.
There's so much more embracing still to be done, but time is racing. Oh, well, we'll catch up some other time.